Yes, yes, yes. Many times I've mentioned that I was but a disabled 12-year-old child preparing for his bar mitzvah when first I encountered Obi-Wan Kenobi upon the silver screen. But let's take a closer look. What were the attributes about Obi-Wan Kenobi that shook me so very deeply? He was easygoing. He did not at all seem to be concerned about being liked or disliked. He wasn't even overly concerned about surviving in lieu of the bigger picture. He was utterly defined by centered spontaneity. It has been said by some of the great Dzogchen Lamas that the highest love is spontaneous and uncontrived. And it would very much appear that Obi-Wan Kenobi, depicted by Alec Guinness, not Baldwin, but Guinness, was a man defined by love's centered spontaneity. I want to be that way. It's no fun being neurotic, regardless of how well I might mask it. And folks, those of us who are neurodivergent are very good maskers. Regardless of how well I mask it, it's no fun being neurotic. It's no fun having social anxiety. It's no fun being self-centered. It's no fun being a lily-livered coward. It really isn't. When you look at, when I keep saying Baldwin, when you look at Alec Guinness's portrayal of Obi-Wan Kenobi, you really feel that he is experiencing a freedom from yang. Now, I don't mean yang in a literal sense. I'm not saying the poor boy was castrated, but we mean yang in the figurative sense. And what we mean by that is that he was free from being controlled by rigidity, fear, controlling tendencies, elitism, cryptic communication, competitiveness, or even cruelty. And not only was he free from yang, but he had really mastered the path of yin. Not the path of appearing to look like yin, but really orienting himself towards yin. Really being flexible, loving, laid back, egalitarian, lucid, cooperative, and kind. I want to be that way. I've been on this path for many decades, and I'm still find this to be tantalizing and exciting. And it's something, even though I'm on this path, I hunger for it, much the same way I hunger for breath or water or food. And I suspect if you've tuned in, you might feel the same way. So how do we get there? How do we master the path of yin? I most likely sound like a broken record, but through traversing the path of mindfulness and meditation. So let's begin with mindfulness. Every time we inhale, whether we know it or not, we access the sympathetic nervous system, ensconced within the thoracic region of our spinal cord. It has not evolved to help us to actively concentrate, but instead it has evolved to merely help us to perceive, but in a special way, in a way that is vulnerable and passive and visceral and random. As is typified by the 12-syllable phrase, perceiving this very turbulent play of mind. Now, what are some of the ways that mind plays? Mind sees and hears and feels and tastes and smells and the like. Additionally, mind emotes, intends, reasons, recalls, and imagines. Mind is able to do all these things externally, internally, physically, mentally, pleasurably, painfully, interesting, in a manner that we find interesting or boring or glorious or grotesque. What are we to do with all these things that we notice, with all these things that we experience? Well, we meditate, of course, but how do we do that? Every time we exhale, whether we know it or not, we access the parasympathetic nervous system, ensconced within both the lower region of the lumbar spinal cord, as well as the tippy top of the cervical spinal cord. It has evolved to help us to both physically relax as well as mentally release, as is explored in the 12-syllable phrase, relaxing into mind's non-graspable nature. Now that might sound spooky, so let me clarify this. Every time we relax into our exhalation, whatever we notice during our previous inhalation could begin to feel, and this is a bunch of similes, as if it was as non-graspable as a vast empty void, as if it was as non-graspable as the illusion of the infinite azure sky on a bright and beautiful cloudless morn. I'd like to wrap this up in a big red bow by relating this to the 22nd verse of the total space of Vajrasattva, the source text of Dzogchen, composed in the 600s or the 6th century. I always get those two confused. In the Swat Valley of present-day Afghanistan. Please chant with me. The authentic condition being thus being shown as it is attained. As it is, the very essence is manifestation arises from it, or how marvelous. This path of mastering mindfulness and meditation is easy. We don't need a PhD. We don't need blind faith. All we need to do is get out of our body's way. Our body wants to notice. Our body wants to relax. We can hinder that, or we can set space for that. It's just that simple. I look forward to meditating and chanting with you after 30 seconds of housekeeping. This is Lama Jigme Gyatso of the Buddha Joy Meditation School. I have spent more than 30 years. Let's try this again. For more than 30 years, I spent more than 8 hours a day studying, practicing, mastering, and then reverse engineering the teachings and techniques of each school of Buddhism so that you wouldn't have to. Welcome to Meditate Like a Jedi, which there's a phrase I'm missing. Welcome to Meditate Like a Jedi, which is supported by the generosity of viewers just like you. There we go. That's the ticket. If you're visiting with me tonight, feel free to say hi and introduce yourself in the chat window. And if at any point you have a specific question about Buddhist meditation, Buddhist philosophy, or how to apply them, simply type your question in great detail in the chat window. Tonight, I thought it could be fun if we played about with Srijana Dipankara's, or Atisha's, as he was known in Tibet, Atisha's concise sadhana for green Tara, also known as Shama Tara or droll Zhang. It has, of course, been amplified and adapted by yours truly. And this is continuing with my most recent practice of emphasizing open practices. It was taught to me by Bakatukul Rinpoche that the Tara practices are all open. No empowerment required, despite the screechings of the of the elitists. Let's continue. Let's begin with calling the Lama from afar, known in Tibetan as Lama Kyenno. So this is these words are to be taken figuratively as a tool to guide our energy in a way that supports our meditation. Together. Lama, Drojang, please come to... Oh, sorry. Let's place our hands in the puckered palm position overhead. Lama, Drojang, please come to this crown and lavish me with all the attainments, both conventional and ultimate. Hey, Brock. Brock, your presence is always a delight. Lama, Drojang, please come to this crown and lavish me with the attainments, both conventional and ultimate. Lama, Drojang, please come to this crown and lavish me with all the attainments, both conventional and ultimate. And now let us rest our mind in mindfulness and meditation. As children, our first bicycle most likely had training wheels on it, and although they were clunky, they did keep us from tipping over. Similarly, this evening's first exercise is clunky. We're going to play with 2 12-syllable recitations. During our inhalation, we could silently and mentally recite, perceiving this very turbulent play of mind. And during our exhalation, we could silently and mentally recite, relaxing into mind's non-graspable nature. Reminder, these are not affirmations. We're not telling ourselves lies about the way we'd like things to be. We're telling ourselves the truth about the way things really are, at least through the perspective of neuroscience. Let us now exercise the neural pathways responsible for bodhicitta's empathy as well as the enthusiasm of refuge. Our first recitation is going to be quite literal, and we're setting it to a triplet chant together. Oh, you know what? I made a boo-boo. Let me do a quick edit because sometimes that's how I roll. Let's see. I am looking for this one over here. No, I'm not. Okay. Un momento, por favor. Excellent. Let's hit copy. And paste. All right, this is my effort to make it easier to practice a triplet chant. May I liberate all beings from the tyranny of hating, craving, and clinging by relying on thee. Buddha's example, instructions, and students. So these last 3 bits are so powerful that they earned the metaphoric nickname of the 3 wish-fulfilling jewels. In our final chant of refuge and bodhicitta, we're going to rely on a more concise and more figurative recitation that we're setting to a bookend chant, which is my go-to chant. May I liberate all means by relying. Oopsie. Dope. I forgot to do something, and that is I want to set this. I want to perform this while simultaneously practicing a geriatric step back squat thrust. Of course, I cannot hold these push-up handles without thinking about the defibrillation scene from The Thing. Oh, here we go. We are liberate all things but the mind of the three jewels. Liberate things but the three jewels. Liberate things but the mind of the three jewels. Oy vey! Well, that was very invigorating. Now let us chant the four immeasurables. May everyone be free from suffering, may everyone be happy, may no one be separated from the happiness, may everyone have balance from the tyranny of hating, craving, and clinging, freed. Let us take a moment or two to review what is meant by emptiness. And by the way, every time you see a word italicized, that's me adding something to the text. I do not do this to boast, merely because I do not wish to deceive you and pretend that pretend that my ideas were Atisha's ideas. As we relax into our exhalation, whatever we noticed during our previous inhalation could feel as non-graspable as a vast empty void. Like the illusion of the infinite azure sky on a beautiful cloudless morn, which although compelling to the eye is non-graspable to the hand. Sobhavashuddha Sarvadharmas Sobhavashuddhoham, which is basically what I've just said, but in Sanskrit. All phenomena, including myself, are purified of conventional existence. Everything becomes as non-graspable as emptiness. And now we're going to elaborate this, because this is one of my favorite contemplations, and I think you may enjoy it as well. Together, let us chant. What could it look like if all circumstances or lots blissfully and permanently melted into rainbow light that interdependently absorbed into this body or form? Folks, what we're doing is harnessing our own innate self-centeredness. And now we're going to play with a, what's it called? A silent, concise version of this. So it's one sentence, it's a rhetorical question, into form how lots melt. It's rhetorical, we don't have to answer it. What could it feel like if all forms of bodies blissfully and impermanently melted into rainbow light that interdependently absorbed into this communicational speech? What could it sound like if all interpersonal speech was footy and impermanently melted into rainbow light that interdependently absorbed into this mind? What could it be like if all minds was floating and impermanently melted into rainbow light that interdependently absorbed into our vast empty void? Now I must look for something for a second. Please bear with me. Let's see what I want to do. I'm looking for Diamond Mind. Okay. So quick like a bunny. Going to hit copy. Going to return to this evening's text. Gonna hit paste. Copy. Paste. One, two, three. Okay, let's go over here. Let's hit this button. And let's hit that button. And let's hit this button. And I think a bit of the old this button. Om ta re tu ta re tu re swa ha. Okay. As we breathe in, let us silently and mentally recite the rhetorical question, how relax, into the awareness, whoopsie, of this. As we exhale, let's physically relax as best we can while chanting this 10-syllable mantra. Om dadit dadit duris vahom dadit dadit duris vahom dadit dadit duris vahom dadit dadit duris vahom. I've always thought this part over here sounds like a hi-hat in a drum kit. Om dadit dadit duris vahom dadit dadit duris vahom dadit dadit duris vahom dadit dadit duris vahom. Om dadit dadit duris vahom dadit dadit duris vahom dadit dadit duris vahom dadit dadit duris vahom. Om Dadit Dadit Turis Wahom Dadit Dadit Turis Wahom Dadit Dadit Turis Wahom Dadit Dadit Turis Wah. And now let us remove the first of two metaphoric training wheels, reducing our exercise from 12 syllables down to just 3. As we breathe in, we can silently and mentally recite, notice this, and as we exhale, we could silently and mentally recite, relaxing. Sometimes it could feel like our circumstances or our body or our relationships or our mind is trying to beat us up to that it might steal our lunch money. When that happens, playing with labels can be useful, not in an attempt to actually manipulate our circumstances, but as a way of harnessing the latent energy involved in our experience. So we could work with sights, sounds, sensations, flavors, scents, emotions, intentions, thoughts, memories, and imaginings, whatever comes to mind, be it glorious, be it grotesque, be it interesting, or be it boring. So right now my sinuses are unhappy, so I'm going to play with sensation, relaxing, not in a medicinal sense, but just as a way to benefit from the experience. Harvesting the kinetic energy of the physical experience in an effort to use it to turn the wheels and gears and cogs of the metaphoric meditation machine. We're going to play with a centering contemplation now. What we see here is a close-up of a giant lotus, and this white bit would be a white-colored circular cushion. Let's chant. From the emptiness appears a suitable palm, which transforms into a lotus seed. On top of this appears a suitable lava, which transforms into a moon seed the size of a thumbnail. On which this mind appears in the form of the green letter T, the size of a mustard seed. We're now going to contemplate the iconography of the archetype of enlightened activity. For doing so, sets the foundation for the 8 metaphors that we're going to play with. Now in the aspect of a green subtle tone may light raising it, that make offerings to all the Buddhas, thus empowering the possibility of benefiting all sentient beings. If you've just joined us, welcome aboard, matey. The moment you have a specific question about Buddhist meditation, Buddhist chanting, Buddhist philosophy, or how to apply them, type your question in great detail in the chat window. May the reason reabsorb into this mind and thus become like the archetype Tata of the rosewood forest. Her body is comprised of green light. She has 2 hands and 1 face. Her right hand resting on her right knee is in the giving mudra. Mudra means gesture. Her left hand is at her heart with the ring finger and thumb pressed together, holding the stem of the blue pala flower which blossoms at her left ear. She is peaceful and smiling and fully matured. She is adorned with all the precious garments and ornaments. Her left foot is tucked in and her right foot is slightly extended. Tada's back rests against a full moon. Tune on her forehead is the syllable Om. We now remove the second of two metaphoric training wheels, reducing it from, what's it called? From 3 syllables down to 1 syllable. As we inhale, we could silently and mentally recite the demonstrative pronoun this. And as we exhale, we could silently and mentally recite the monosyllabic verb ease, ease, which functions as a synonym for relax. Obviously, transforming 10 labels from a 3-syllable paradigm to a 1-syllable paradigm requires a bit of the old poetic license. We experience physical sensations, we could use the label form. When we experience their emotional counterparts, we could use the verb feel. When we experience a recollection, we could use the preposition then. And when we find ourselves fantasizing, we could use the verb dream. Remember, our job is not to perfectionistically strive to find the perfect label in the perfect amount of time. Give yourself permission to have a shallow learning curve. Life is messy, so is meditation. On Tada's road is the syllable La. Remember, we're not concentrating. We are practicing mindfulness and meditation. We notice whatever it comes up, be it glorious or grotesque, interesting or boring. And when we exhale, we are already wired to relax. Well, you might ask, if we're already wired to notice and relax, why do we sit in an absurd posture and meditate? To exercise our will, so that our will can cooperate with our factory installed programming, or I should say the factory installed programming of our autonomic nervous system. What if enlightenment was nothing more than this, simply practicing the Buddha's Eightfold Path? What if enlightenment was nothing more than getting so good at this that we practice it spontaneously, habitually, easily, and effectively? What if enlightenment was closer than we have been led to believe? And on Tata Surnam is a Surnam. From the Surnam who may light raise emit and invoke all the Buddhas of the 10 directions, each in the form of green Tara. So this is going to be a little bit slower, and we're going to do kind of a hand jive. Om Benza Samayadza Hum Bam Ho. May all these yidams absorb into oneself. Again from the seat on a stone of Melat regime it, and invoke the 5 initiating Jana Buddhas. May we now recite Om Vajra Samaya and make the request. Please, all Buddhas, bestow on me all empowerments. And then the Tathagata say Om Sarva Tathagata Abhishika Samaya Shriyahum. Having spoken thusly, they pour water from a vessel on top of our heads. The water goes throughout our bodies, purifying our bodily defilements. It fills up our bodies to the top of our heads. Then on the top of our heads appears a Nirmanakaya form of Amitabha. This little red Buddha right here. We're going to play with 6 figurative offerings of awareness and openness. So the real thing here isn't that we're earning real or imagined good karma by giving real or imagined things to real or imagined entities. The real magic here, and I use the term metaphorically, is that we are exploring that Nagarjuna's 2 truths, the way things seem and the way they are, noticing and releasing, using poetic language and fancy hand gestures. I offer the experience of wisdom that's appearing yet as non-graspable as a void. Shamatara darshe pati sohum soha. That should be swaha. Let me fix that bad boy. Let's see, let's go over here. VW and make that an A. Insert A. Un, deux, trois. All right, we are golden. I offer the, now let me know if you can still hear me with the microphone 5 centimeters from my mouth. I offer the experience of wisdom that's fragrant yet as not graspable as a void. Shamatara gandhe pati sohum swaha. I offer the experience of wisdom sounds resounding yet as non-graspable as a void. Shamatara vini pati sohum swaha. I offer the experience of wisdom tastes flavorful yet as non-graspable as a void. Shamatara rase pati sohum swaha. Where is the cursor? I offer the experience of wisdom feeling sensual yet as non-graspable as a void. Shamatara parshe pati sohum swaha. I offer the experience of wisdom thoughts lucid yet as non-graspable as a void. Shamatara dharme pati sohum swaha. Now it's time for mantra meditation. At one side on the moon sea there is a green settlement, surrounded by the 10 syllables, tare to de swan. Tom invokes Tade's courage to Tade's pacification and Tade's increase. Swaha supplicates with these may I liberate all. From these syllables my rays of light emit and make offerings to the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, thus empowering our ability to benefit all sentient beings. May all the powers, blessings, and love of all the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas manifest in the form of rays of light, which absorb into the heart. Which absorb into the mantra rosary encircling the hot seed syllable. We now recite the mantra 128 times or as much as possible. Let's bring the 4 bases of mindfulness into the path of love, beginning with the mental. So this is what we call wishing love, the second fold of the eightfold path. May all minds of all beings now be as peaceful and wise as the mind of a Buddha, for symbolized by a one syllable Siti Kleo Bija mantra. So now, having chanted our wish, we're now going to silently and mentally recite the same wish in a very concise format. During our exhalation, we're going to physically relax as best we can while chanting this 10-syllable mantra. Oopsie, that should not be italicized. There we go. Om Tade Tu Tade Tu Re Swaha 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 Om Tade Tade Ture 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 Swaha. So before we do the 4th repetition, do a bit of the old cut and paste. Om Tade Tade Ture Swaha 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 Well, I'm a bit confused. Please bear with me while I try to sort this bad boy out. Okay, that's much better. Let's continue. May all relationships of all beings know be as joyful and loving as a real or imagined Buddha's communication symbolized by the sensible mantra. Daddy daddy do this wahom daddy daddy do this wahom daddy do this wahom daddy do this wahom. Daddy daddy do this wahom daddy daddy do this wahom daddy daddy do this wahom daddy daddy do this wahom. Daddy daddy do this wahom daddy daddy do this wahom daddy daddy do this wahom daddy daddy do this wahom. Daddy daddy do this wahom daddy daddy do this wahom daddy daddy do this wahom daddy daddy do this wahom. May all bodies of all beings know and enjoy the beautiful health depicted in Buddhist thought of the blissful body of a yidam of lore and archetype of enlightenment. Om dadit dadit duris wahom dadit dadit duris wahom dadit dadit duris wahom dadit dadit duris wahom. Om dadit dadit duris wahom dadit dadit duris wahom dadit dadit duris wahom dadit dadit duris wahom. Om dadit dadit duris wahom dadit dadit duris wahom dadit dadit duris wahom dadit dadit duris wahom. Om dadit dadit duris wahom dadit dadit duris wahom dadit dadit duris wahom dadit dadit duris wahom. May all circumstances or lots of all beings know have the safety, good fortune, and boon as a Buddha's real or imagined paradise, spirit land of all team. Now, an intelligent question would be, why do we use similes and metaphors when they are prone to being confusing? And the answer is the foundation of our brain is symbolic thinking. If we go back a very, very, very long way into the distant past, at the very base of the tree of evolution, or organisms that developed the ability to perceive their environment, and they would react to their environment. In time, they began to recall past perceptions and anticipate future perceptions. That was the basis of sentience. Perception, recollection of perception, and anticipation of perception. It is the root of all thinking. It's highly symbolic. When we work with similes and metaphors, we are addressing the oldest part of our mind, the pre-lingual area of our mind. The irony, of course, is that we're using a lot of words to access the prelingual area. Om dadit dadit duris vahom dadit dadit duris vahom dadit dadit duris vahom dadit dadit duris vahom. Om dadit dadit duris vahom dadit dadit duris vahom dadit dadit duris vahom dadit dadit duris vahom. Om dadit dadit duris vahom dadit dadit duris vahom dadit dadit duris vahom dadit dadit duris vahom. Om dadit dadit duris vahom dadit dadit duris vahom dadit dadit duris vahom dadit dadit duris vahom. Whoops. Now let's bring the 4 bases of mindfulness into the path of letting go. And we switch gears from wishing love to rhetorical questions. How is it that as we inhale all circumstances could appear quite vivid, yet as we relax into our exhalation they could feel as non-graspable as a real or imagined paradise or vati of light? Om dadit dadit duris vahom dadit dadit duris vahom dadit dadit duris vahom dadit dadit duris vahom. Om da dit da dit do this wa home da dit da dit do this wa home da dit da dit do this wa home da dit da dit do this wa. Om da dit da dit do this wa home da dit da dit do this wa home da dit da dit do this wa home da dit da dit do this wa. Om da dit da dit do this wa home da dit da dit do this wa home da dit da dit do this wa home da dit da dit do this wa. How is it that as we inhale, all bodies could feel quite sensual? Yet as we relax into our exhalation, they could feel as not graspable as a real or imagined octopoiedom of light. Om da dit da dit do this wa home da dit da dit do this wa home da dit da dit do this wa home da dit da dit do this wa. Om da dit da dit do this wa home da dit da dit do this wa home da dit da dit do this wa home da dit da dit do this wa. Om da dit da dit do this wa home da dit da dit do this wa home da dit da dit do this wa home da dit da dit do this wa. Om da dit da dit do this wa home da dit da dit do this wa home da dit da dit do this wa home da dit da dit do this wa. How is it that as we inhale, the interpersonal experience of communication or speech could be quite resounding? Yet as we relax into our exhalation, it could feel as non-graspable as a real or imagined mantra of light. Om da de do da de do de so om da de do da de do de so om da de do da de do de so om da de do da de do de so om da de do da de do de so om da de do da de do de so om da de do da de do de so om da de do da de do de so. Welcome to this evening's live stream. The moment you have a specific question about Buddhist meditation, Buddhist chanting, Buddhist philosophy, or their application, simply type your question in great detail in the chat window. Om da de do da de do de so om da de do da de do de so om da de do da de do de so om da de do da de do de so ha. Om da de do da de do de so om da de do da de do de so om da de do da de do de so om da de do da de do de so ha. As we breathe in, we could silently and mentally practice mindfulness as we recite the demonstrative pronoun this. The key to, and as we exhale, we can relax while silently and mentally reciting the monosyllabic verb is. How is it that as we inhale, we could perceive all mind's functions quite clearly? Yet as we relax into our exhalation, they could feel as not graspable as a real or imagined considerable time of light. Om da de de na de 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 so om da de de na de 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 so om da de de na de 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 so om da de de na de 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 so ham. Om da de de na de 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 so om da de de na de 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 so om da de de na de 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 so om da de de na de 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 so ham. Om da de de na de 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 so om da de de na de 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 so om da de de na de 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 so om da de de na de 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 so ha. Om da de de na de 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 so om da de de na de 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 so om da de de na de 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 so om da de de na de 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 so ha. May the common and supreme attainments of magical powers and full enlightenment be lavish upon us sentient beings and myself. Through our recitation and meditation, may all sickness, poverty, and warfare be completely pacified. And may all dharma and good omens, and may dharma and good omens be all pervasive. If you feel that I have earned it, you could give this live stream a thumbs up. You could even help support this channel if you so desire. In approximately 10 2/3 hours, I would very much like to return to lead tomorrow's morning meditation class and group practice. And if you are as geeky as me, this is the way.